right, everyone. Welcome to the Lead Generation World Podcast. My name is Michael Faree. We got a really good show today. We've got Alex Curtis of the Lead Engine with us today, and I love this conversation. I had a really good time. In fact, I wish we had more time to talk shop. Alex has his company, the Lead Engine, in the UK that really helps companies generate their own leads. So instead of buying leads from a third party, he really helps companies navigate the paths of self-generation with mortgage companies and finance companies. So we get to talk about all kinds of cool things with regards to that and the industry. And I really hope you enjoy the show. Before we get started, though, I do want to mention we've got registration for Lead Generation World London that's going to be opening in March. Keep an eye out. Be sure to maybe join our community newsletter, which you can go to leadgenerationworld.com/London. And you'll see a link on the page for that sign up for the newsletter. Also, we've got the agenda that's formulating as well, and you'll want to check that out. So there is a button towards the bottom, and then on the drop down on the website where you'll see the agenda. Take a look at it. We got a lot of cool stuff that's shaping up for the show, and it's going to continue to evolve as we get closer to registration day. So we're really excited to hopefully see you at the show. If you're interested in sponsoring all that good stuff or exhibiting, we're going to have about 30 booth or stands available for anybody that's looking to connect with other lead sellers, service providers, and lead buyers. This is a really great opportunity for you to get your brand out there. So make sure to take a look at that as well on the website. So, okay, enough of the self-promotion. Let's go ahead and bring in Alex and start talking a little shop. All right, everyone. Welcome to the Lead Generation World Podcast. I've got Alex Curtis here with me from the Lead Engines. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, mate. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Man, I love your setup you got going on here. If you watch any of the podcasts, we do a lot of video, obviously, and now we're doing more audio and putting it on Spotify and Apple.
Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. But it's nice to see someone that's got a pretty good setup going on over there.
Thanks very much. It's all in the wooden wall, isn't it? Although you've got a cheeky little bit of wooden wall as well. That's
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted a brick one actually. I wanted you can get these brick. They're kind of like tiles.
Yeah.
But it was just way too much work, way more expensive. These are just like pallets, and they had them in the warehouse downstairs.
Yeah,
they just nailed them to the wall, so it was much easier. But
yeah, same with these. No, I'm just kidding.
This is I can't tell if yours is wallpaper or is it real.
Exactly. But it does the job. It's a little bit better than just the normal wall. But you got the whole setup, which kind of like I was I have to admit this morning, and it's morning here and afternoon over there, but I was going through listening to your podcast, and they're really, really awesome. And I've got a bunch of things to sort of ask you about that. But you got the whole setup there. Looks like you're doing some video. You guys really focus on a lot of organic content. Is that one sort of focus of yours there at the Lead Engines?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've for our own business, I've had our ads off for like a few months. I've only just put them back on this week to promote our event, but still getting like inquiries every day. Whereas historically, my background was in much more in the paid stuff. But yeah, we're finding that. So one of the things that I find amusing is that it's not all that experience of like SEO and PPC and everything like that gets us and our clients leads. It's more like about positioning and more like stuff that anyone can do. But yeah, we're creating content like quite a bit. Yeah, so I'm doing like 2 podcast episodes a week now, and then we try and go live in our community Facebook group as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose that's one thing we'll probably talk about.
Yeah,
today.
well, so gosh, I know there's so many things that you just touched on I want to talk about, but let's first just if people don't know what Lead Engines is, tell us about the company and what you guys provide as far as services.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're the lead engine. We do lead generation for financial services companies, but not on a cost per lead or cost per acquisition or commission model. We're essentially a marketing agency. We work in partnership with our clients to help them generate their own leads, so they don't need to buy them on a cost per lead.
Yeah.
Um, because I suppose, I mean, really great example. The tax is changing in the UK in April for electric vehicles, so I'm looking for an electric vehicle to lease because it will just pay for itself.
Yeah.
And I inquired. I googled it and inquired, and one of them, it turns out, is a lead generator, and they've sold my inquiry to a load of, and my phone is just
Dealerships,
buzzing.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just ignoring my phone now. And then so it, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like that kind of model of, and then it becomes really transactional. What I love is working with clients and watching their business grow, and that's why
Yeah.
I do it.
Yeah, no, and the problem, is that you probably weren't expecting that your information was going to go to multiple dealerships,
No,
or and how many that were going to actually be sent, and then subsequently now you're getting all these calls, um, which is
exactly.
why to some
It's
extent
just
probably GDPR and other regulations are forcing companies to be more transparent about what's happening with their data
yeah.
because we never knew.
No, no, exactly. And the thing is, they probably were, and I probably just clicked a box
Yeah.
in a rush. So I don't think they've done anything illegal or anything bad, inverted
Sure.
commas, but
Sure.
I don't think they're going to get any of my business because they've just annoyed me. So
Yeah, yeah,
any
yeah.
of those companies that call, I'm now going to just pick up the phone myself, find one or two, and then I'm going to be proactive about it and use the phone and get the quotes off the company that's the real companies that I want to get a quote off.
Yeah, that's interesting, and it's no fault really of the dealerships, right? I mean, they're simply
No,
trying
no, no, no.
to gain more business.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
that communication or expectation on the website about what's going to happen that was probably lacking on your
Absolutely.
front. Yeah.
I think the dealerships or the finance companies or whatever just don't know how to get business online themselves. There's just a massive knowledge gap, so that's why they feel they need to buy leads, because for them, and it's safer. It's like they know how much an inquiry is going to cost them,
Hmm.
and they can just buy it, and they know they can get so many. So I get why people do it. I just don't think I just don't like it, and I don't think it's a very good way to
Yeah.
to grow your business. I think it's really inefficient rather than just getting those inquiries yourself. It's
Yeah.
so that's well, that
Yeah.
was my rant, and that's
So
what
you
we
guys
do
help,
and why.
yeah. No, and that's great. And so you guys help companies generate traffic and generate their own leads, which I think to your point is generally going to be the best quality
Hmm.
leads that you can generate, ones that are generated from your own properties, your
Yeah.
own websites that understand your brand and messaging
Hmm.
and all this sort of stuff, and you have full control over it. I
Yeah.
suppose I suppose the counter argument is that sometimes that's not always as scalable as the company wants, right?
Hmm.
Maybe. And so maybe
Um.
leveraging other third parties for additional leads
Oh,
at a certain price
yeah.
could be worthwhile as well.
Yeah, again, the counter would be they're only going to be marketing in a way that you can market yourself unless they've got an existing database. If you're paying someone just to advertise who's on Google as well,
Yep.
they're just going to use that budget to write, to do PPC that you could do yourself anyway. Or like if you run out of scale. So what we find is, you guys in America will say the riches are in the niches. We call it niche here, obviously, because
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
do correct English, obviously. Um, but what we find is the bigger companies have lots of specialists. So we find that. So I'm just about to publish a book for mortgage brokers, where one of the principles is like everyone loves a specialist. But if you're a bigger company, you can have lots of specialisms, and there's lots of different niches that you can rank for, that you can advertise for, and position yourself to be the best in that. So I think there's plenty of opportunities. But again, yeah, I still see why people think that they need multiple sources, but in reality, I don't think they do.
I love it. I think it's a really interesting conversation, around that. And I suppose it's maybe a little specific to the company and what they're doing and what they're
Yeah,
trying to do and
yeah,
all
yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of
No,
stuff as
absolutely,
well. But
absolutely.
the general, I think, sentiment of what you're sharing is 100% accurate. I mean, people don't have sometimes what's lacking is the knowledge, right? And so that's why they come to
Yeah,
companies
yeah.
like
I
you and
think
figuring out how to do it.
absolutely. I think so. I think as long as people are aware that there is another option, they can generate them leads themselves. I think I have spoke to a lot of people, and they like, oh, I like the chase. I like that it's not as simple. Like I remember speaking to one guy. He's like, I like buying leads because I like the chase of it. I like hunting them down, and so. But other
It's
people
just
don't
sadomasochist
want that.
is what.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's crazy. So I guess yeah. I mean, if you're buying leads and it's profitable and it's time efficient for you, then
Then it
like, by all
works.
means, not saying you should. I don't want to ever tell anyone you should be doing this or should be doing that. What I do like to open people's eyes to, there is another way if you want to generate your own leads from people who are specifically searching for what you do. You can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. No, I think it's great. So company specific verticals. I think mortgage, car, what auto loan. What are the industries that you
Yeah, so we
choose?
do.
Yeah.
Majority of our clients are mortgage
Hmm.
brokers, in all sorts of things. Like, I don't know if you guys have like equity release, if that's a product
Yep.
in America, but it's like basically over 55s releasing equity, life insurance, protection, car finance, business loans. We're starting actually, what's opened our eyes recently, we just took on an accountant who got qualified in mortgages, and we just seen how easy it is to rank for any like accountancy firm in any city. So we're probably going to start working with more accountants, and then that opened our eyes to like solicitors as well. They're like this, on Google there's this so many professions where no one's really doing SEO very well, which is like a tap in when it comes to
Yep.
lead gen. Someone's searching for an accountant in London, and you're an accountant in London. It's like so easy to rank for. You look on,
That's interesting.
I don't know if you use like SEMrush, it gives you
Yep.
like the difficulty to rank. It's like 50% like difficulty, which is like so easy for an account in London. There's like thousands and thousands of searches every month. So yeah, we're a bit excited. So it may soon be lead generation for financial and professional services.
Yeah.
It just looks much easier than the mortgages stuff that we do.
Yeah, that is interesting. And it's very rare you find those little niches, especially
Yeah,
within
I
SEO
know.
that aren't already, completely saturated.
I know, it's ridiculous. I found quite a few. I think a lot of people assume that SEO is too hard, and then I don't know if there's a lot of kind of like medium-sized businesses that are just not really putting the effort into it. Um, but yeah, we're finding lots of. That's where we're getting our best value for our clients. We get clients on page one for
Yeah.
these little kind of niche areas of what they do. That's when our clients are at their happiest because they're getting
Oh
loads
yeah.
more leads that they're not buying, essentially, even with they're not putting any budget towards it, and they're great quality as
Yeah.
well. So
So
yeah.
I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, and it looked like you have sort of a long history with SEO, but also with paid media. You mentioned as
Hmm.
well. Is that generally? So give me just kind of a rundown. So like if I'm
Yeah, I know.
a mortgage company, I'm coming to you. I say I want to generate my own leads. Obviously, probably look at my website and make sure that it's up to
Hmm.
par from a conversion standpoint and content and all that sort
Hmm.
of stuff. But once that's established, what's sort of, in general terms, what's sort of the game plan from there?
Yeah, well, so no, pretty much now actually we would rebuild a site, or we wouldn't sort of take them on unless we don't charge extra for it. It's not like a sales thing or anything. What
Yeah.
we do find is that we've got a process that works, and so in the past we've taken people, like, in fact, we've got a client at the minute. The only client at the minute we're struggling with is the one where we haven't built their site, and
Ah,
the conversion rate's really bad. The impressions are like on Google are not going up high enough. So it's kind of like we may then get to a point where it's we might have to do it anyway. But the site looks beautiful. It looks really good, and they paid fair whack of money for it.
Yeah.
It's just there's something there that's not working. So with most mortgage brokers, most clients, that we will do a whole, and as well we'll look at their branding as well. We'll create a branding, even if we don't change the logo or change the colors. We'll create a branding document, like who are they, who do they want to help, why. We'll create, they get the identity right, because then it becomes really easy to write ads and content. And then we will normally create a new website, but it's all like a fixed monthly fee. So even if we didn't do the website, we're not charging them anymore, if that kind of makes
Yeah, that
sense.
makes
So
sense.
yeah, I do. Yeah, you don't want to get it across. It's like, oh, if you want to order this, we have to build a website. It's an extra £10 million or whatever. We don't do that.
Yeah.
So we get all that sort of. But then the clients that perform well are the ones that do specialize in something, because people love a specialist. If you just want like remortgages for anyone, it's why would the client choose you, like, when there's millions of, like, thousands of other brokers? So it's like finding that there's so many specialisms. There's like, people search for teacher mortgages,
Hmm.
like hundreds every month, but there isn't a product for
Hmm.
specifically for teachers, but people still search it. And if you were to Google that, and there's a broker who used to be a teacher, is now a mortgage broker, helps teachers like sort their mortgage out, why would you choose anyone else? And if you go to that website, you can see the person, you can meet them, they do video, they're really helpful, they're not salesy at all. Why would you choose anyone else?
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
And there's loads of those kind of little niches, but so that's kind of it. Like, a lot of the
Yeah.
time.
So
um,
you get the website tuned in, and then you're
mhm.
obviously optimizing for SEO and
Yeah,
content. But
we're
from a
creating content.
paid, what about a paid from the paid side?
Yeah, so we'll look at what the cost is for Google Ads. And again, when it's the niche stuff, it's normally a lot cheaper than, again, if you try and bid for like remortgage
Right.
stuff, it's going to be, I think it's like, I presume around £10 a click, something like that.
Yeah. Really
Whereas
expensive.
you can get some leads. I'm sure we're getting some. The other week we were getting some self-employed mortgage leads for around the lead for like a tenner off Google Ads, because the cost per clicks were like much lower. I think that's stabilized more around 15-20 quid a lead now. But you can get, like, and then the stupid thing is, it's much better quality as well, because they're specifically after a certain type of mortgage, and they're a certain type of consumer client, and you specialize in helping them. They want to take your call as well, because they know you can help them. And if you understand that people buy from people, you have your face on there and you do some form of video, they get to know you a little bit. We've got so many clients where they speak to their clients, and their clients say, we feel like we already know you because we've already got to know you on video.
Hmm.
And then it makes the whole sales process like so much easier as well. They've built like trust and rapport already. So it's just repeating that fun, basically. People buy from people, everyone loves a specialist. If you give information without a sales pitch, so we say, like, give information without expectation, you'll build rapport. If you do those three things, and if you understand that failure breeds success, because your first video will be rubbish, you do those four things, those four principles, you will generate leads that turn to business. You'll have a high contact rate and a high conversion rate to
Yeah.
sale as
Yeah.
well.
You actually had a pretty good all your podcast interviews are great, but the most recent one with Matt Poole about
Yes.
his efforts on LinkedIn marketing using video
Yeah.
to really, that was really interesting, and so interesting because you wouldn't think well, my first thought is, oh, a mortgage guy creating video that people actually want to watch. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seems like a little surprising, right? But
Yeah.
in some of those, and that probably stops a lot of people and go, oh man, I'm just an insurance agent, or I'm just a
Yeah.
mortgage
Yeah.
guy. What the heck am I
Yeah.
going to talk about that's going to actually gain any level of interest? And he's actually really successful at it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So again, yeah, Matt's not a client of ours at all. Just saw him on LinkedIn, and like
Yeah.
seeing the amount of likes and engagement he was getting was ridiculous. And you're right. Like, so people think, why would someone listen? But if you're so, for example, I think there's 4 to 5 thousand searches every month on Google for like what is remortgage. So these are people who have a mortgage and they don't know what the most basic thing, they don't know what a remortgage is. 5,000 people in the UK every month don't know what. So things like that, people do not know. So you're just answering those questions. And we created this 30-minute marketing plan where you go on SEMrush, find the questions that people are asking about your niche or your specialism, and then you can create your content to answer those.
That's
And if people are
perfect.
searching on Google because they don't know the answer, there'll be more people on social media that don't know the answer. And if you've had like your remortgage letter from your lender and it's talking about this remortgage, it's the first time you've had it, you don't really know what it is, and then you see a video of someone, you can see they're a real person, they're not trying to sell you anything, they're explaining what that process is. If you want to get that done with someone, you'll go to that person. So that's all he's doing. It's like really simple.
Yeah. That's
And
and I love
it works.
SEMrush. SEMrush is just such a
Mm,
I've been, SEMrush came out maybe 15 years ago. It's actually
hmm
it's been around for a long time.
yeah,
And it was one of the tools that, so I used to be a lead buyer for a mortgage and insurance company myself.
right.
And we had about, 100, 150 loan officers at the time. And we were generating, but mainly buying third party leads,
hmm
which is very popular here in the US. And we were buying hundreds and hundreds of leads a day. And part of the problem was that companies would call me up and go, "Hey, we have the best leads. They're all organic. They're all paid, all this sort of stuff. They're going to convert the
yeah,
best." And they literally, everyone says the same thing. And you
yeah.
would have no idea how to determine whether they're telling the truth without spending thousands of dollars and then generally finding
hmm
out that they were not good and
yeah,
they were horrible and they were and sold multiple times, all these sorts of issues.
yeah, yeah,
But SEMrush was a tool that I could use and go, "Hey, XYZ, lead seller, what are the your what are the websites that you use to generate these leads?"
yeah, yeah.
And
Nice,
then use
nice.
that in SEMrush to actually see if they're buying advertisements, what their organic
Yeah,
ranking is, what are the keywords. And sometimes you get a website, you put it in there and they're getting zero traffic. It's
yeah,
like, okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
obviously you're
yeah.
not telling the truth, but SEM, what a great research, tool for organic and paid and, content on the web.
Oh, do you know what? I've never thought about using it in that, like, because we've got a community of brokers. So you've given me a great bit of content for my community, by the way, to let them know if they are buying leads, what they can do to check up on. So
Yeah,
thank you for that. I'm going to be
you're
creating a video
welcome.
on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a great way to check out if people are actually, if they're saying, so you can obviously see if they're using this website.
Yep.
You can see like how much they're spending on Google Ads and for what.
Yeah.
As long as they're not, I think the only drawback, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but in the UK, if they're only spending money like locally, like they're not doing national campaigns, I don't think SCMrush is that good at seeing their spend.
Well,
Um,
it should see some level of
so yeah, a
traffic,
bit,
right?
yeah. I don't think it's as accurate. But and then yeah, if they're saying we're getting organic leads, you can literally see how much organic traffic they've got and whether.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I love that. I've never been a buyer, so I've never sat in those
Yeah.
shoes to think about. But yeah, what a great way to use it.
Yeah, it
Definitely.
was really helpful. And you know so obviously, we're putting on Lead Generation World in October in London, which is why we're
Mhm.
doing a lot of these podcasts and talking to experts like you, of course, like leading up to it. And the conference sort of covers the full funnel, so generating leads, but also after you generate the lead, how do you close the lead and all this sort of stuff, and
Mm,
help buyers and sellers and service providers, really come together. But these are kind of some of the things that we'll have people sort of presenting on, and how to vet out a lead seller, and how to work the
fantastic.
leads and all that sort of stuff. But I only say that because I wanted to sort of segue into what you're doing as well. and I want to get back to the podcast because there's a couple other ones I listened to that were really great. But you guys,
Oh, cool.
you have your own. You have an event coming up here in March. Tell us about
Yes.
that. Yeah.
So March the 26th is a
Yep.
Thursday. We call it the Financial Services Brand Accelerator, and we have got the world's #1 YouTube strategist. So rather than a
Interesting.
content creator, he basically optimizes the channel. So he works with people that are content creators, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just happens to be a really good friend of mine, so
Nice.
great advantage for me. And yeah, so he used to work for the BBC and Endemol, which is the world's biggest kind of producer of TV shows. And he would basically, and what he does really well is if someone's got a load of content, he'll organize it and make it rank for when people search for what you do, essentially. So he's going to be teaching people the kind of like the basics of how to, when you're like your title tags, your description, or your tags, how to organize your video content to make sure it ranks. Because we've got some people in our group. There's a guy who's getting decent leads off YouTube, off the YouTube videos he's doing, just explaining how mortgages work. So there's an opportunity there, and
Yeah.
you're not paying for that traffic.
And you don't really think about optimizing YouTube per se, or so.
Yeah,
And
true.
and I think about it. I mean, you're making me think about it now. Is obviously we have these videos and it goes on YouTube, but the description and the title, all those sorts of things.
Yeah,
Um,
there's some
I don't always
there's loads
consciously
of
think
little
about.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, loads of little things that like, because again, there's like putting. So one thing I remember him saying is like in the title, if you always include. So if say we're doing this video, or it's the Lead Generation World episode with Alex Curtis, and then having like a bracket and then a space, and then always putting Lead Generation World podcast, and that links all the other videos together. So all the recommended videos on the right are all your ones, or more likely to be your ones than just random other videos, if that kind of makes sense.
Oh,
Uh,
really? And it goes, and you
so
put
it's
that in
kind
the title.
yeah. So
Interesting.
well, if you go, he was on my podcast last year. He goes through all of those. Maybe worth
Yeah.
revisiting.
What was his name
Um,
again?
Tom Martin.
Tom Martin. Okay, and he'll be at.
Yeah.
So he's going to be there at your
He's going to
event as
be,
well.
yeah, he's going to be speaking at our event. We've got a guy called Ian Anderson Gray, who is kind of like, he gets millions of views on his blog. He was like the first person to blog about live video when it kind of started on Facebook. He was the first person to put a blog about how to go live on an Android phone, because it was really difficult in the beginning when it was really easy on the iPhone but not on Android. And he wrote this blog, and then it was like world's #1 article on how to go live using an Android
Yeah.
phone. He's just become the kind of the go-to guy for live video. And fortunately I spoke with him back in, I was in Belfast in the UK in October, but we became friends from being at the same sort of conferences together. So he's a really big deal. So we were talking about doing live video confidently. Again, there's like brokers in our group. There's a lady called the Mortgage Mum, and she does live Q&A on mortgages for mums.
That's awesome.
And she's like just been weekly, like it's like Mortgage Monday. She goes live every Monday, gets all these questions, and all those people that are asking the advice, why would they choose anyone else like to
Yeah.
do their mortgage than that person that's helping them out? And then we've also got a guy called Dan Knowlton, who he was speaking recently with Mark Zuckerberg's sister in some random country in Europe. Like he's also speaking at Social Media Marketing World in San Diego. So is Ian Anderson Gray as well. And Tom was meant to be speaking at VidCon in Abu Dhabi on the same day, but he decided to come speak at our event instead.
Oh, great.
So we've got 3 amazing speakers, probably the 3 best video marketing speakers in the UK, speaking at our little event in Peterborough for financial services.
That's awesome.
And then we've got
and
loads of
so
other stuff as well.
it's all focused on video ad or Facebook ads and video marketing.
Yes. So what we did our first conference last October, and we kind of just asked people like, what do you want? And it was kind of like video, Facebook ads. So that's kind of our focus. So me and Tom, my colleague here, will be doing a load of stuff on Facebook. Although we're pulling back from Facebook ads a lot, we want to explain to people how it works, rather than this is how you set up a campaign, do this, blah blah blah. We really want to explain, like, when you first dive in and you choose your campaign objectives, like, are you going to do the lead? Because a lot of people choose the lead generation option. It's like the worst option.
Right.
So we're going to explain what actually happens, that first decision that you make, how important that is, and how that will affect how the whole performance of your campaign. So we're going to be doing that, and we've got a guy doing behavioral economics.
Yes,
So like
yes, yes,
how people
yes.
make choices. So this guy Mark Pataccio is on the
Yes, I was actually going to bring that. That was one of the podcasts I wanted to
fantastic.
bring
Yeah,
up.
well,
Yeah, because I'm a big fan. In fact, at our last show just last month here in America, we had a behavioral economist or science
mm,
guy, and it's just so what we do in marketing with regards to getting people to sort of choose the different decisions and how they're going to look at and analyze things is really intriguing, and I just love the topic. And I was going to ask you about him and that podcast, but so he's going to be at this event, and what's he going
yeah.
to be talking about?
So there's this thing called like the trust equation,
Hmm.
which is just crazy. Like the science behind building trust, which is just phenomenal. And Mark and I have actually created a separate podcast, which is going to be launching soon. So we've recorded about 5 or 6 episodes called Bits of Behavior,
Uh-huh.
and we zone in on these specific things. So that's fascinating. That's coming out very, very soon.
Awesome.
But yeah, so he's going to be there. Yeah, so this trust equation, which I don't really know a lot about at the minute, but it's basically how to build trust with people face to face on video, and all the factors that go around it.
Yeah.
So it's,
Well, and it's and to the point, it's a science. It's
yeah,
this
I
is not
know.
like a some type of voodoo that you do.
No,
It's
no.
this is a science. And what's interesting
Mm,
is there's a book out there that you may find interesting by an author named Dan Ariely, and the book is called Predictably Irrational.
yes, you
And
told me about it before. Yeah, I
oh
remember.
yeah, did we talk about this? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it just goes into how people make choices and how they evaluate choices, and
Yeah.
are so predictably irrational and how
Yes.
they
Yeah, it's
choose
not
things.
logical. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that
So,
it's
I mean, when you understand that for
yeah,
lead generation, that is more important than getting a lower cost per click, any of the technical stuff.
yeah,
How people behave and make choices, if you understand that, that is what will like generate you leads. I think it's so important. It's like psychology, behavior is way more important. So if I had to lose, like if I had all my technical skills in SEO, PPC, I know how to rank sites, I'm very knowledgeable on all that kind of stuff. If
yeah,
I had that knowledge on one side, and the behavioral psychology, which I know very small amount, I would get rid of all the technical skills if I had to choose one or the other, because the understanding how people behave, psychology, is so much more important than
yeah.
the technical stuff.
It's
Definitely.
certainly interesting. So just making a quick backtrack a little bit. You made a
Hmm.
comment that you said you were pulling away from Facebook ads. In what regards? Are you talking
Yeah.
about from a focus as far as where your own
Uh,
campaigns are, or just within the show? Or your
so, well, in terms of our clients' advertising budget,
got it.
away from Facebook ads and more into Google ads, we're just finding that Facebook has always been like like not that consistent. There's always a lot of work to eke out what you can. Whereas we're just finding Google has always been the best quality, like no
Yeah.
doubt, but it's just always been
It's also really
quite
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But what we're finding with all these little, like the SEO landscape opening up, like we're getting sites ranking like really quickly. We've just got our processes sorted out there, and also some of the Google ad stuff is not as expensive as you think. So we're just getting. So at the minute, we're matching the average cost per lead for like a remortgage or mortgage lead of Facebook but with the quality of Google. So
Yeah.
it's like, and Google changed their audiences for financial services I think it was in November, December. So, for example, the remortgage audience was about 300,000 in the UK, and that doubled in November, December. So we were like, oh, this is amazing. There's like more
Hmm.
people, there's more opportunity. But it actually just made it less, the quality was less. So they changed the algorithm to include more people that are maybe,
Not quite as targeted, maybe.
yeah, not quite, yeah. So it just wasn't as good, and we relied on that quite a bit. Obviously we do lookalikes and, you know, create custom audiences, but that was great for generating remortgage leads off the bat, like really. But now it's just really not, and it was always difficult. But with Google, they're searching in that moment for that specific thing. When you've nailed it, it's normally quite consistent as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we want to explain that to people, but just saying, yeah, our ads budget. 2 years ago, it was probably all Facebook, and then we had this kind of 2 year gap where Facebook was taking a lot of budget, and then it's just not as good anymore. So I don't know. Again, things may change in the future, so we do want to explain how it works. But our clients' budgets are definitely shifting way more back to Google.
Yeah. What about other social media channels? I mean, obviously there's Facebook, but there's, now,
Yeah, LinkedIn's really
Instagram. I
good.
mean, even YouTube to, doing
Hmm.
pre-rolls or like anything like that. I
Yeah.
mean,
Where LinkedIn is great for
LinkedIn. Yeah.
like really niche stuff as well. So we did a load of, they were like life insurance for people that worked offshore in oil and gas. So you could target. The only thing with LinkedIn, you couldn't target whether they were in the market for a mortgage or not. But
Right.
we were getting these life insurance leads for like 15 quid, I think it was, and that was cheaper than a cost per click if you were bidding on life insurance on Google, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's great.
So that works really well. So LinkedIn we use quite a bit. We don't really use Twitter as much, but we've probably not spent as much time investigating that. So I know a lot of people do like Twitter ads quite well. And yeah, Instagram never really cracked in terms of an ads point of view.
Yeah.
I think it's more so like the format of an Instagram ad compared to like Facebook. Facebook, you have like the text at the top and then the image, where it's flipped the other way around for Instagram. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, but we just never got the performance out of Instagram so much. But yeah, we're always looking, like part of our time, part of what we do is like always looking at what else. Because like Google could like crash and burn, the prices could go way up. We've always got to have a plan B.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's certainly true, and you never know with
No,
Google what they're
no,
going to
you just
tweak or
don't.
change. Yeah,
Yeah,
when
exactly.
what's interesting is that I don't know how popular TikTok is over there, but it's relatively
Yeah,
popular here, especially.
people are talking about it a lot. I've gone as far as installing it on my
Yeah,
phone. I haven't created any content for it or gone into it too much.
yeah. The
Oh, I don't know.
one thing I've been looking at it as well just recently too, and I've noticed we have a company called Intuit here that has tax. They do online
Oh, yeah,
tax
yeah.
information, all this sort of stuff.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, and I've noticed they're using their ads will be popping up for in TikTok, and so it's interesting to
No.
watch some companies really sort of expose some of these newer social
Be
media
much
channels.
cheaper.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's probably cheaper. I don't know what the demographic is, on that. I think it skews probably pretty young.
Yeah,
But
although I bet they have an age thing on there though, and
yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think a lot of the time we do assume like too much because like
Hmm.
I like people still think, oh, is Instagram too young? And I'm like, I'm on Instagram, I'm 37,
Yeah.
all my friends in
Yeah,
their
and you're an
30s and
old guy.
40s. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got like all these wrinkles on my forehead. I've noticed recently, like cropping up. But yeah, all my friends are on Instagram. They're old, so
Yeah.
like I think with the ads thing, you can obviously choose. I presume I've not looked at TikTok. I presume you can do the age targeting.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
have
with
it
all
be.
these things, you've got to try them without trying to. Yeah, I think if you just assume it's not going to work without trying it, then it's not great. I think always have an open mind. I
Yeah.
like to be proved wrong, definitely as well. I think if you like being proved wrong, by like your team or by clients or whatever, you always find a better way than what you're doing at the minute.
Well, there's a real benefit for trying things too, and being sort of the first comer to a channel and exposing that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Oh, definitely.
so it's definitely worth a shot. So you one other thing that's kind of cool that you've got that Facebook group. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so this community, I mean, we set it up. We've been ranking on page one for mortgage leads for a few years now, and we attracted a lot of people that couldn't afford to use us as an agency. And it was like,
Yeah.
kept getting these phone calls. I was like, how can we help these people? You know, and what you've set, I set up the business because you want to help people. It's
Yeah.
not just about making money. So we set that community up, and we just were like posting advice in there on what we're doing. That's just kind of built, and I guess the podcast is like an extension of that community. And we just did a live Q&A in that group a couple of hours ago. And it's nice. It's really great for building relationships. So if you're like a service company, like B2B, and clients need your services all the time, like building relationships in some sort of community. Like one of our clients who does mortgages for like subcontractors, people who work in like, people who are like carpenters, plumbers, things like that. He's got a Facebook community for the people in the trade, and there's a lot of banter in there and stuff that they like, as well as mortgage advice.
Hmm.
So I think it can be, it can be really, really useful. And then for like me, for like asking them, I can't remember that, but like I can just put a poll out and just ask them, I think it was something like, do you call them clients or do you call them customers? And like 100% of them said clients. So I know to use clients in my advertising when I'm advertising to more of our ideal client, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's so many uses for having that
What's the
community.
name of the group? So if someone wants to find it.
Yeah, so it's on Facebook, Lead Generation for Financial Services.
Okay, you went with the long tail
I,
keyword there.
we've gone with, well, the podcast called the same thing. So it's literally, so we have a product in the UK it's called Ronseal, and the advert famously is like, does exactly what it says on the tin. So I always think, we've Ronsealed it. It's like, there's
Yeah.
no debate what that Facebook group is all about. Yeah, it's literally, that's what it is.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. I love what you're doing. I think it's just, really, I think it's really awesome that there's, yourself and a company out there that's providing really good content that can benefit the industry and everybody, and sort of raise all boats. And like you said, maybe they're not your client, but I think it's just good for the industry that they can hear information and hear these tools and these tips and tricks and all these sorts of things that they can try to implement themselves or whatever. But just at the basis, just be more educated on what options are out there. So I love all this stuff.
Thanks very much. And we enjoy it. Like we get
Yeah.
really good banter now off that community, and I think we learn more from teaching. So it's like testing us when people, because with the live Q&A, they're asking us stuff which we've got to keep on our toes and be ahead of the game. So we get benefit back from it, definitely. So I think it works really well because we get loads out of it. Our clients love it, especially like the bigger clients. They love that we're so transparent.
Yeah.
And it gets to help a load of people that their only option is to buy leads because they can't afford an agency or they can't. So it works really well. So we get loads out of it, and I think our audience do as well. So it's a really nice.
Let me not maybe this isn't something that you necessarily focus on from an agency standpoint, but I think you certainly would probably deal with it on a regular basis. And that's sort of the process of after you've generated a lead. You guys have done your job. They're getting traffic and they're getting leads into their funnel, but they're still not being successful. How do you help them take the best practices or process for after they received a lead on how to actually close it? Because sadly, there's companies out there that may get a lead or traffic and they may not call it for a day or two, or never, or just call it one time and not follow up or whatever.
I mean that's like, if you've got We help with like automation of process of
Oh,
things like
good.
that, but we can't force them to pick up the phone. I mean,
Yeah.
the clients that are super successful are like, there's one guy I know, he's like literally within seconds of a lead coming through, he's on that phone immediately, and
Perfect.
he does really well, and that's not a coincidence.
Yep.
um so yeah, it's hard to change their sales processes in terms of what they're doing like manually on the phone, but yeah, we can help, like little things like the thank you page, letting people know what phone number you're going to call from and who's going to call makes a
That's a great
massive
idea.
difference.
Yeah, that's an
Massive.
awesome idea.
Even if they remember the last three digits.
Yeah.
Because I had it, I inquired, like I said, with that
Yeah.
car lease thing, and then a phone number came up, didn't know who it was. I'm not going to answer it because I don't like answering
You know
a
what? You know
phone.
what, Alex? Another one too. That people haven't. Usually when a lead comes in, you send a sort of automated email out.
Hmm.
Having that phone number that you're calling from in the email too, because now with iPhones, when someone calls me
Yeah,
up, it
yeah.
goes possibly, or I can't think, maybe, I think it says maybe, and then puts the person's name in it, and that's
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
it came through the email. And if you open
Yes,
the email, then it triggers the phone
absolutely.
to
Um,
guess who it might be.
Yeah, definitely. Well, another thing, we use an app called Bonjoro as well, so you can send a personalized video message.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah,
if you're
yeah.
struggling to get hold of them, you can do. So anyone that buys a ticket to my event, I send a personalized message asking them to fill out the survey thing. But you can use it for lead gen as well, and you're introducing yourself, and they can see you and hear you already. That's like massive. Not many people are doing it, so you stand out quite a bit then. Um, yeah, there's loads of stuff you can
Yeah.
do. Like send a text message as well if you've got their permission.
Yep.
With who's going to call and the phone number. That makes, like, little things like that make a huge difference. So
Yeah. And it's
yeah, stuff as we do a bit, but um, yeah, and there is quite a lot of stuff you can do. But yeah, forcing people to call immediately is the hardest part of our
yeah.
job, definitely.
Well, I know, I don't want to take all your afternoon here, and I promise you I'd let you go around this time.
Yes.
But we should do this again because it's fun
Oh,
talking
absolutely.
shop with you, and then there's
Yeah,
probably a ton of
definitely.
other things we can talk about as well.
Absolutely.
Um, but if anybody wants to get a hold of you and join the Facebook, maybe how do they go about getting a hold of you?
Yeah. So if you're in financial services, yeah, check out the Facebook group Lead Generation for Financial Services. Podcast is of the same name on Spotify, iTunes, whatever. Website's theleadengine.co.uk, and on LinkedIn is probably where I'm most personally. Just Alex Curtis on
Yeah.
there. And then I am on Instagram, but I'm rubbish. And then all you'll see is pictures of me, like I'm training for like a half marathon
Oh,
at
good.
the minute. So all you'll see is like stupid pictures of me. And because it's so dark here, I look like a cave diver. I've got this like torch on,
Yeah.
fluorescent jacket thing. So if you want me to see me looking like an idiot, I think it's so it's INST dot A Curtis. So it's like, it's meant to be Insta Curtis.
That's
You might
funny.
find me on on Instagram as well.
Well, maybe we'll forego posting that one on there, just so they don't have to, get
Yeah,
exposed
exactly. Yeah,
to your
edit that bit
sweaty.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
that's great. I appreciate it, and thanks for joining me today. And I look forward to talking with you future. And if anybody, obviously reach out to Alex. I think that you guys have a ton of resources on your website, and then obviously within the Facebook page.
Mm,
And with any luck, we'll get you involved in lead generation world too, and sort of
sounds
share some
good.
of these same things at the conference as well.
Awesome. Sounds
Awesome.
great.
All right, Alex. Thanks a bunch.
All right, buddy. Thank you.